So you weren't ready. You lied.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy's a big fat liar.
That's a good movie. From what I remember.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. I'm in a weird. I think I'm still a little drunk.
Is that what we're going with?
I don't know.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is
Tommy
Tommy
and Jacob's mixtape. Attention.
Hello, everyone.
At ease.
How's it going? Welcome back, or welcome for the first time to TJ's Mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. We are a movie review podcast, and we like to talk about movies. And so we decided to make it into a podcast. So we talk about the movie, where it came from, who made it, kind of the themes, if you will, and then we give it a rating. The rating is arbitrary, but it puts a nice end to it. And this week we're doing
Ender's Game.
Yes, 2003 Ender's Game.
2013.
13. So said. There's no record of it. For those of you that don't know, in a not too distant future, an international military force trains young geniuses to lead an army against extraterrestrial invaders.
Yeah, what year does it actually take place?
These are their stories.
These are their stories.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, I forgot to look. I don't know if it actually gives like, a specified
in the plot. In the future, humanity is preparing.
In the future,
but from the technology advancements that we're at, I don't feel like it's the super distant future. I mean, I don't.
The future. What is the Futurama? Tomorrow.
The world of tomorrow.
The world of tomorrow.
But before we get into it,
what's it about, Tommy? What? Oh, you already did that, didn't you?
Yeah. It's like the nightlight thing all over again.
There's a fly in my face.
Before we get too far into it, did you like this?
I do.
Okay.
What about you?
Mixed feelings.
That's fair.
It's a mixed bag.
It's like I feel like
sorry.
The premise. I really like the story and the premise. Really.
Yes.
But it's just like the movie itself is just kind of like a.
Yeah, the execution is.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
For, being, let's just say 10 years old.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know.
The whole, I like the dilemma of, what exactly are the Formics doing? How it's, slowly kind of, the thing that, again, this young adult novel, section that we're doing, there should have been a fucking sequel to explain so much more of this fucking story.
Yeah, but I think it sits well enough on its own.
Yeah, not as well as Cirque du Freak. I think that's the one that sits the best on its own.
Yeah. This
one definitely has a Divergent or Hunger Games sits really well on its own. Divergent feeling where it's okay, we got a complete story, but
I've never seen Divergent. So
I like Divergent over Hunger Games, but
I don't like Hunger Games.
That's fair.
I can see the Hunger Game feel though, in the sense of each one, it sits in that it kind of.
They're.
I mean, obviously, if you watch 4, you should probably watch 3, 2, 1.
Well, I don't know. The first Hunger Games movie kind of sits well on its own. The second one's Catching Fire, right? Yeah, and then Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, right? Yeah, because there are only 4 of them.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
The
end of the second one does kind of set up for, we need Mockingjay now.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about Hunger Games. We're talking about Ender's Game.
Yes.
Which was a book in 1985.
Yeah, called Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, which...
He's a Mormon!
And he's got some controversy.
I didn't see the controversy.
Oh, well,
because he's Mormon?
Well, anti-LGBTQ.
Yeah, he's Mormon. Of course.
Yeah. So this movie was actually boycotted by certain groups.
Good for them.
But then the studio was like, we don't reflect his views, but we want to make this movie, basically. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Legal jargon of, yeah, sure, whatever. Not that guy, but this movie, though, But... yeah. It was originally a short story in 1977.
He wrote it like when he was 10 years old.
And then...
And if you could see this, it's like, this has got like bullied kid become hero written all over it type thing.
But yeah, it's a whole... I didn't really know anything about this series, but it's a 4-part series about a kid named Ender.
Well, that's his middle name.
But that's...
Yeah.
Whatever.
Wiggin.
But they...
It's his game.
Yeah. And so I don't... With my synopsis, I don't think it really makes it clear entirely. But yeah, in this view... So we were attacked by this bug species of aliens. Then over the years, we were so unprepared that it cost millions of lives.
Democracy.
And so what they then decided was this international space force, basically... went around and took all high-level IQ children and started training them to be the next military genius leader.
Because a child's mind
is a sponge.
It also has a quicker reflexes than old person's.
Yeah. So the idea is that they're basically grooming these children into military leadership.
Yeah.
And you are following primarily this one child who shows the best aptitude to be the next leader of the military force.
Yeah.
And it's all about his trial and tribute. Know what it is? A lot of what it was really reminding me of, it's Starship Troopers, but not funny. Like, there's a lot of, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because this is a lot. It's not a parody, you know. Starship Troopers is like a parody.
But then with the whole bug thing, and I don't know. I mean, granted that they're both books, and but I couldn't help but make the correlation.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, released October 24th in Germany in 2013, and then the U.S. November 1st.
I got October 28th. Doesn't matter. It came out.
It came out in October. We actually don't need it. Yeah. Came out in October and then November.
How many movies did you have for 2013?
33.
25.
What is actually the last 2013 we did?
I think it was Carrie. No.
Gravity. Yeah. That was the last one.
Gravity.
Oh, a while ago too. Episode 173. Because then we did Great Gatsby, and then we did, Gravity, Great Gatsby, then Carrie. I just like to try to keep mental notes so we don't do too many from the same year.
Like what? 1996 or something?
I think it was 96. Yeah. It was like, okay, we're done with that here for a while. But then let's get to our director. I mean, did you have anything really to say about Card? Other than
he's Mormon.
He's conservative. Well, he's, what is it? I saw it was like neo democratic.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
I don't really understand it either, but he has a lot of he's very conservative on the morality views.
That's fair. Which honestly, it's interesting for him to kind of have those views, because I feel like maybe it's just because of how this movie was written. I never read the book. Mm-hmm. My brother was really into it, so I'm familiar with it. But how he kind of like a big message in this movie is like winning the war at any costs. But Ender is like, yeah, but it's also like, but no, it's like the way that you do it matters.
Yeah, it's really about the morality of war. And then it's the concept that becomes interesting is that you have the two sides of the adults who have seen the what this alien species had done to us. They were there, you have Harrison Ford's character who was actually alive at the time of it and saw the destruction. And then you have the kids that are kind of being swept up in the camaraderie, brotherhood kind of thing.
Hitler Youth.
Yeah. The grooming, and then you have the hit at the end of the stark reality of what.
Yeah. I really quick, because I know you like, there is like some big like twists and.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen this, I would honestly not listen to this, because sometimes twists don't really matter, but
there's a couple of twists in this movie that like if you don't know, it actually kind of, you're just like, whoa.
It kind of makes the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of. So if you haven't ever watched this or read this, I wouldn't listen to this, because it is pretty. I was really not uninterested, but I was really meh about it until the twist, and then I went, Okay, that got the gears turning a little bit.
When it's just like, oh
shit. Yeah. So goodbye if you're leaving. Nice, thank you. But continue on. Director and writer.
Yeah, I guess really quick, I do want to say like Orson Scott Card also like with all of his like Mormonism and whatnot. He's like written for like video games and like he's a short story like short videos. Excuse me, for like Latter-day Saints and stuff. And he was a comic or a joke writer for Escape from Monkey Island, the PC game.
This really does feel like the Chronicles of Narnia for Mormons.
What's funny about that is he credits C.S. Lewis as one of his biggest inspirations.
So this is Chronicles of Narnia for Mormons. Space Jesus.
Why are you connecting space with Mormonism?
I don't know, but I just
because it's Joseph Smith.
I just thought
and the golden plates.
I just thought it'd be fun to.
You're thinking of Scientology.
But don't Mormons have the whole? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm confusing the two.
Mormons, when they die, they go
their
to
own planet.
Their
right?
own planet.
Yeah, so that's what the space. Okay, then I'm not. Yeah, I'm not crazy. That's why the space Jesus thing is from.
I see why you're connecting, but
You
like
get your
space
own.
Jesus is Scientology more.
Yeah, but I don't know. You get your own planet.
Giant spaghetti monster.
You get your own planet, and you become a god for it.
Because you're a man. And that's what you.
I get to. We need to move on before we say something equally stupid and offensive. Moving on. Okay. Yes. So our writer and director is someone named Gavin Hood, which is always nice. But Gavin Hood,
not a lot of stuff. But
not a lot of stuff. Some stuff I added to my watch list because I was just interested.
Was one of them official secrets?
Yes, that looked interesting. Sotsi. Was that how you would say it?
Yeah, I guess.
Sotsi.
I didn't write it down. But
Yeah. And then then there's a fucking X-Men Origins Wolverine in there as a directing credit.
What's funny is I read a quote when he was talking about specifically about directing X-Men Origins and how he's like, when it comes to a story where the morality of good and bad are black and white it's a problem for young people to watch because they're not questioning what morality is, pretty much is what he was saying.
Oh.
And he's like this is like X-Men Origins, like there's the clear like bad guy, Wolverine's the good guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
That movie's bad.
I don't know. No. It's not the worst Marvel movie.
I think it is, actually.
I don't think it is.
What do you think? Eternals is worse?
No.
Daredevil?
Ghost Rider. I only say that because I just recently tried to watch it and I turned it off. I was like, I got to the point of meeting Nick Cage. Like, you see the whole backstory and you get to Nick Cage. And I went, no, I just don't care. So okay. I gave it a solid 20 minutes and I wasn't.
Nah, I'm good. Maybe Daredevil. Daredevil might be worse.
I like Daredevil, but I liked Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I didn't mind him.
He was a good Murdoch, but
yeah,
it's just a bad. It's just a really bad movie.
It's really comic booky. I'd have to rewatch
Gavin
it.
Hood.
And what's his name as Kingpin?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah,
he was a good one. Yeah.
What a monster that guy.
So Gavin Hood directed Ender's Game.
Great name. Gavin Hood. I feel like it rubbed off on me a little bit. I'm really derailed, so I need your help reeling me in. What do we do next?
Are we done talking about Gavin Hood? Is the question. I guess we can just go to starring.
Well, yeah, just Gavin Hood directed it and wrote it, and then he doesn't really have a lot.
He doesn't really have a lot, yeah.
And there's not. I didn't see any controversy, so there's nothing to talk about there.
And like, I mean, talking about that morality thing, he got his like question of morality from this movie.
Yeah. Let's go to starring.
Well, I mean, I guess really quick is like one of the things that I did read with Orson Scott Card. They were apparently studios have been trying to wanting to make this movie Ender's Game, make his book into a movie for a long time, and he was reluctant on it. And then finally, I think it was just with technology, he was like, okay, sure. And he says that there's a quote of the book and like the movie is kind of a departure from the book.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's a departure from the book. But he was like, it's a good movie. I like the movie. It's not necessarily 100% what I wrote, but it does it justice, kind of.
Well, this is kind of interesting too, because there is a part of this that feels like an 80s movie wrapped up in a 2010 package.
Yeah. Which I think that's why I kind of like it.
Yeah, because there is that question of morality in it, but it's not really nuanced.
Yeah.
It's really, as an audience member, it's really in your face of this bad, this good. Almost like kind of like Star Wars. I'm just saying Star Wars for the sci-fi element.
Yeah, but like the whole thing is like you're kind of like
the first three Star Wars.
shoved in your face like this good, this bad, this good, this bad, and then the twist happens and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying kind of is why it got me back into it, because then it's interesting to think about that. Mm-hmm. That end aspect.
Where then it kind of turns into the fact like, oh, this is literally just a brainwashing system.
Yeah. That he ends up. Yeah.
Well, but they're like alluding to it, not even alluding to it, telling the audience the entire time between, Harrison Ford's character and Viola Davis's character, how they're just like blatantly just saying like, yeah, we're just putting this kid through the ringer to figure out what he does,
Well, then it's like Viola Davis is a good character too, as a
child psychologist.
Yeah, it's like a sounding board to the radical Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. So there we go. Two of our big stars in this: Harrison Ford, who we've done a couple of times. Mm-hmm. When we said before, he's Harrison fucking Ford. He's Indiana Jones. He's Han Solo. He's now gonna be Red Hulk, I guess.
He's a president of the United States.
He's
get off my plane.
He's on the Marvel bandwagon, which I have this weird memory of him saying he'd never do.
He said something during like his Star Wars at the end of Star Wars, like he would never do a big franchise thing again. But
that money though.
Yeah, it's Marvel comes asking. Marvel knocks on the door.
You say yes.
Yeah, that's what fucking Kit Harington said, right?
Yeah, you did.
He was like,
say no.
It's like I didn't do this for nuance. I did it because it's fucking Marvel.
I mean, I'm actually gonna think that's probably Marvel might be a great, like in a sense, retirement package.
Yeah,
because especially for something like the Red Hulk, because now all the toys and they're gonna be made in your likeness, or like I mean,
he's got fucking
I wonder if they're gonna use they should use Harrison Ford as the model for the Hulk though, because that would be dope.
They probably will.
You know how sometimes they do different, but I'm like, I actually want it to be Harrison Ford's face on Hulk. Let's go.
Red Hulk, Harrison Ford.
Get off my plane. Just chucks a plane.
We got to make that. We got to mash that together when it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. Harrison Ford.
And Viola Davis is Suicide Squad.
How to Get Away with Murder.
Mm-hmm. She's a great actress.
Something else that I really wanted to watch. What did I write down? Oh, Fences. She was recently in Woman King. Those are two movies that I've been wanting to watch, and I just never gotten around to it.
Fences is intense, dude.
That's why. I'm like,
August Wilson, man. It's a play.
Yeah, I really want to watch it, but I'm always like,
Denzel Washington is a fucking...
Every time...
It's one of those few roles where I'm like, this is a Denzel Washington role I like.
It's watching. Like every time I think about watching it, a couple clips come on like my feed, and I go, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that. Okay, and then going into so those are two main adults, I would say.
Our lead is Asa Butterfield.
Who plays Ender Wiggin, who was actually we didn't talk about him because we didn't know, but he was in Wolfman, episode 125. Oh. He's young Ben. He's one of the younger versions of them, and I just thought that was funny because I was like, I didn't even know. I would say probably biggest thing for me is Sex Education. He's one of our leads in that.
He's the lead kid, isn't he?
Okay, that's just that might just be splitting hairs, but I feel like a show like that, they're leads. It's kind of like
yeah. But isn't his mother
the teacher, the sex educator?
Yeah. Who is Scully? Gillian Anderson, right?
I don't know. I've only seen a handful of episodes of it.
Okay.
But it's just from what I gathered, it's like Euphoria. It's like Zendaya is the lead, but they're all kind of leads because you're following so many story. Anyways, but yeah, Sex Education.
And he's Hugo and Hugo.
And he's what I just watched, Miss Pettigrews School for something children.
Miss Pedophile. Where I thought you were gonna say.
It was pretty enjoyable.
No, I've heard it's actually
it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Weird little world. Kind of like what I was saying about Penelope.
Was that Eva Green?
Eva Green. Yeah.
And then we got Haillee Steinfeld.
God, she's a baby in this.
Yeah. Well, it's 2013, you know.
Yeah.
She's like barely 20. I don't know. She's not even 20 in this, I think.
Oh, I actually never realized this, but she's in the remake of True Grit.
She's the little girl.
Yeah.
That's her breakthrough role.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great Western.
I've never seen that, actually.
I know you don't like Westerns, but I'm just going to make you a list of ones to check out.
That's actually a Western that I've always wanted to watch because it's more of a drama than a Western.
Yeah. I'm not getting into the Western conversation with you.
It's just this whole genre I missed. That's all it is.
And you're
it's
crazy.
not that I don't like them.
Edge of 17.
Yeah.
That's funny. Movie. Little coming of age flick.
She's Kate Bishop in Marvel.
Oh, weird. And she's
the new
also
Hawkeye.
And she's in Spider-Man too. She's Gwen. Oh, and the animated.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Interesting.
Yeah,
wow, good for her.
Yeah.
That's two big names to have. The money, and you're young too. So you can play that for a while.
She's like almost 30 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not old. It's not old. Anyways.
No, but I was just like the thing is like how young she is in this. I was sitting there like when we were doing research, I saw she's born like 96, and I'm like, that's 28. She's 27, 28. Yeah. That's crazy.
She's in Pitch Perfect 3, and then the last thing I wanted to just because it's also coming out and it's kind of topical, the new season of Art. She's in Arcane.
Oh, okay.
She's the sister. She's not Jinx.
Okay.
Basically. But
speaking of sister, Abigail Breslin plays Ender's sister.
Yeah.
And then we got Ben Kingsley.
Who?
Yeah. Where's your brain stopping?
No, it was just Abigail Breslin, Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
Zombieland, and then Ben Kingsley is Ben Kingsley.
He was Gandhi once.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He's half Indian.
Yeah, but I'm like thinking I'm thinking of images of Gandhi and then him as Gandhi, and I'm like,
no, he did. Yeah,
pretty fucking close.
Yeah,
they look pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I just rewatched Shutter Island, and what a great movie. Ben Kingsley's in that.
I forgot he's in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I realized that Ben Kingsley isn't a lot. He's actually one of the ones with the highest credits in this movie. He's in so much, but he has in everything I've seen him in, he has very little screen time.
Yeah, unless he is like the lead.
Yeah,
but like,
and I've still never seen Schindler's List. That's another one that's on my list of gotta be a mental space, which is wild that we do a movie podcast and I've never seen it.
It's on your list.
Maybe not the right choice of words, but I've always wanted to. But I'm always like,
I've never seen it all the way through. Actually, I've only seen like clips, like in film classes. They're like, watch this scene. I'm like, okay.
Well, actually, with this thing, we should one day just sit down and just be like, today's the day. With these ones that were like,
just marathon a bunch of fucking depressing shit.
God, no. I'm just saying, like,
it's like, should we load the gun too?
We should make a. All right, what are our scores? I know, right?
All right, so this on IMDb, it's got a 6.6. Did I really derail you?
No, I just am like, I need you to
Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 63% tomato meter and a 65% audience score. So it's just like just average. Just average.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Because even going into our review portion, Tommy's Corner for the reviews. Hi, I'm Tommy. How's it going? It has a 51 Metascore, which comes to mixed or average, with 14 positive, 20 mixed, and 5 negative. Thanks. So the tippity top score was an 80 out of 100 by Matt Mueller at Total Film. Like its hero, Ender's Game relies on brains more than brute force. An absorbing portrait of Lord of the Flies style morality housed in an imaginative sci-fi casing.
That's a really good way to describe it, actually. I like that it says it's more brains than brawn, because like I think that's maybe been like, other than like, obviously this movie getting boycotted because of Card's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a hard sell. Like, this movie kind of like it feels like it's going to be a lot more actiony sci-fi kid adventure.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's a lot more like kid drama. Like, this is a sci-fi drama.
Yeah, it's a military drama.
Yeah.
It's a training camp drama.
Yeah.
About, it's a new school kind of thing.
It's bully.
Yeah, it's bully. For the mixed 50 out of 100 by Tasha Robinson at The Dissolve. It is a brutal story and a heady, high concept idea, but it plays out through characters with no identity other than their symbolic ones, and through shouted, simplistic arguments that repeat the same points over and over.
Yeah.
The latter half kind of got me on that. This is wrong. It doesn't matter. It has to happen anyways. You're on my plane. Like...
How enamored he is with when Ender actually like fucking kills the planet pretty much. He's like, that was a beautiful, absolutely magnificent. It's like, you're a psychopath.
Well, but that's kind of and that's something, we always go into this like TV show thing, and I'm sure the book goes into it more, but he is very much, because of the fact that it's been 50 years, right? Mm-hmm. That's how long it's been. And so he was a child when the first attack happened.
Yeah.
And then he grew up from already kind of being established as a young, a person, granted, still evolving and growing and everything. But then he got sucked into that. He's a fanatic.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for his upbringing to be the way he is, to have the fear, to have the resolve to end this here and now. And it's just interesting because you can see that Harrison Ford plays that character pretty well, and you can see that is happening, but they never really go into it because we only have so much time in this 2-hour-long movie.
Yeah.
But he's a very...
that's a big thing as well.
He's a very interesting character that because of the lack of time we couldn't really dive into, but he really makes sense in this world being the fanatic he is. And I really actually liked him a lot as our villain. Not... antagonist. He's not a villain.
Antagonist is kind of like...
He's kind of... Yeah, he's an antagonist. He's not a villain. He's an antagonist. And for being as shallow as he is, I thought he was a very complex enough character. Yeah. For being as shallow as it was. And I'm just saying that for her...
I feel like all of the characters... Like, none of the characters really in this are... They're all kind of like, they're getting to a three-dimensional character.
Yeah, they're not in the shallow end and they're not in the deep end.
Yeah.
They're kind of wading water a little bit.
It's like
in between.
More like the bullies in this are very much the one-dimensional characters.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know, this one really clicked. I just see a lot of what they were doing, and I think the direction, and to me that's also the writing and the direction, a lot of that is really pretty solid. Yeah. For them. And it's just Harrison Ford's always just kind of Harrison Ford. Yeah. He's a comfort food actor, but I think it really worked for this thing. Yeah. Okay, and then the bottom of the bottom, 0 out of 100.
Oh boy. He doesn't like people.
By Joe Morgenstern at the Wall Street Journal. Not only does Ender's Game have many scenes in zero gravity, but this zero-sum fiasco has zero drama, zero suspense, zero humor, zero charm, and zero appeal.
I want to say 0, but I mean, their exaggeration of the zero gravity is kind of like, that's like such a small part of the movie. It's like, that's literally maybe 15 minutes of a 2-hour film.
Yeah. I mean,
that one thing is like, I will say that like a big thing is that the way that this movie moves through its like acts, I guess, is it feels kind of like leaps. Like the story is just being pushed along because it has to, from like him.
Like the amount of time we cover in Ender's journey.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it I mean, I got it, but I don't feel like it made it very clear about how much time was
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah.
And it was a long time.
Yeah.
This is a few months worth of story.
Mm-hmm.
The only time you really get a real clear idea is when Harrison is looking at the invasion screen and it says 28 days. That's like the only...
Yeah.
And you just kind of need more of that to kind of really get...
And that's when they rush him into the commander
position.
Yeah. And whatnot. Because it's like it starts off with him in school and he's getting his freedom chip removed or whatever. I forget what it was called.
Oh, his the thing on the back of his neck.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's low jack. Let's just call it that. I can't remember what it's called.
Well, which is interesting is like how he's so emotional about it being removed because it's taking away the fact that he could be a hero. As he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those
like the conditioning that these people and these kids go through to like, it's like Stockholm syndrome.
Well, it's like the movie actually, now that we're talking about it more, and it's a lot of the time, and I think a lot of people listening to can agree to that, is that once you're talking about it, you kind of notice things, and you know, you can, if you leave a movie and you go and talk to the friend, to the partner, whoever you went to go see it with, you in that conversation could go from hating the movie to liking the movie. I know it's happened with us, you know. But even like this too, there is, for that middle review to be like that same point being repeated over and over and over again. That is true. But at the same time, there is subtlety to it in little conversations that are happening throughout. Like even when they do that little test and you're seeing Ender's kind of throes of like not being the hero that he was being conditioned to be. He's failed his family. His family's failed 3 times.
They're not supposed to have 3 kids.
Technically 4 because his dad was also pushed out of the program. Like it's a lot of weight on him. And they just really casually kind of put that into conversation. And then Harrison Ford shows up and he wants to talk to Ender privately. And the mom's like, I'm not comfortable with that. And he basically is like, well, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this future, it is a military controlled government.
Yes.
Because this kid was enrolled in this program. We don't know the whole hierarchy of it.
Yeah.
But this dude, he was being polite.
Yeah.
He didn't need to ask you shit. He could have kicked down your door and just dragged him away if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool subtlety like that to give you this. It's very good world building without really shoving it in your face, you know?
Yeah, like you're saying, subtle world building. And like, I think that's that's the world that Orson Scott Card had created. And I think Gavin Hood had a really good grasp at it.
And it's kind of weird how it's kind of really topical for now.
Oh yeah,
especially in this what's coming up. A certain event is coming up, and it's like this whole society has been built on the fear of this thing coming back.
Yeah,
they don't really have any evidence that it's going to. This is all preparation for. If they come back.
Well, and that's also like Harrison Ford's big thing of choosing Ender is so they remove his low jack, whatever, and that's the kind of like the final test is to see how he responds to it. And then like he's getting bullied and he stands up to the bully. But after he's already like got the bully down, he continues to beat the bully up. And that's when he's like, well, I didn't want it to be a fight just then and there and then it come back.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I sent a message pretty much.
It's the big stick policy.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
And that's what Harrison Ford likes with Ender is because in his mind he's like, yeah, this is the attitude we need for someone to take care of the Formics But
then he also knew when to stop.
Yes. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, which is also the key thing. Because remember, there's that whole thing about his sister being too compassionate and his brother being too violent. You know?
Yeah. And he's the middle ground. He's the yin, yin, yang.
It's very Goldilocks.
Yeah. And this one's just right.
And it's just like, yeah, and even the Viola Davis has some really good points and like her whole thing about finally kind of getting sick of Harrison Ford's great. What is his name? I'm sorry.
I don't remember anybody's names really.
Colonel Graff.
Yeah.
Colonel Graff's whole the greater good kind of mindset.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
finally gets sick of it. And she has this great, I just loved her. I mean,
She's like, at the sake of children, these are children.
like you really don't see them as children anymore, but what you forget is that once they win your wars and win your battles,
I
the
have
one
to put them back together.
Yeah, and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's Viola fucking Davis.
Yeah.
And she could land anything. Like she has like the best like in your face truth telling moments. Like,
Yeah.
she's so great. I honestly can never in a million years think of someone better suited to be Amanda Waller.
Right.
She's so good as Amanda Waller. And even I don't know if you've ever watched it, but How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
She's great in that.
Well, like kind of like where I was kind of leading with what I was saying, the leaps of like the events in this movie, you know, because like it's like he's at school, he gets his LoJack taken out, and then he's chosen to join this like private academy, pretty much the military academy that Harrison Ford runs, and then it's like basic training, now playing the game in with whatever the salamanders, to having his own team, to then being the commander on the base.
Oh, that just made sense to me now.
What?
I thought about it and then I forgot I thought about it and I'm thinking about it again. I was like, what was the point of the game? And I was like, oh, to learn combat in zero gravity.
Yeah.
Just as a concept, because I was like, well, they're not going to fight in zero gravity, but it's just to understand.
Well, and then also like, you know, for Ender and in general, like, you know, it's tactics, you know.
Yeah. No, I just was like, I was just thinking very Starship Troopers.
Like, did you notice how like his at the very end when he's like commanding all of the drones and whatnot, he's doing the same tactics that he did in the game.
It was very foreshadowing what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the whole
they kind of hit on the head really hard through this entire thing that Ender is a genius. Like he's always the smartest one in the room.
Yeah,
he's trying to be humble about it. He's like he wants to be humble, like, but
that didn't sit well with me.
I mean, that's the fantasy that, you know, it's Orson Scott Card being bullied. Like I'm the smartest one in the room.
Yeah, it really was annoying.
Yeah,
it was, and then like you said, him feigning this humble to be the good guy. You know, you're like, I would hate you too. Like,
can I talk to you in private? Just let me do my free time, and then you can change your mind, and then you won't lose any fucking. But it's just like, just punch him in the fucking face.
No, he decided to cripple him instead.
Yeah, goddamn.
But yeah, that's why it was kind of like when we first got into it and you asked if I liked it, I was a little hot and cold because there are things I like about it. Mm-hmm. Like I like the Viola Davis Harrison Ford duo and kind of their conflicts, and I felt like they were pretty well written out characters. Ender, and it could have just been his age too, just being as young as he was, you know. And then the whole Haillee, what was her name? Haillee played something cool. Oh, Petra's whole like, she's the one girl in the academy. She likes Ender. It's just kind of like, oh really? Shocker.
The pretty girl's gonna like me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write her to like me.
It's just, I was like, really? Okay.
I can't get a girlfriend.
And you know how, and that's just me a lot of the time. I'm sure other people that too.
It's that Ready Player One thing.
Yeah. As opposed to them just becoming really good friends and maybe when they're older or whatever, they finally blossom into this love thing. And it never really does that. But you know that's where they were leading. If there were sequels, that was definitely going to happen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then, you know, I'm the toughest girl here. And then that kind of,
that's
all of his little cronies really take a step back to him. And I just think a lot of, especially, I mean, granted the books don't do it, but you know, like Harry Potter did a really good job of making you really care about the other kids. It wasn't, even though it says Harry Potter, like there became fan favorites, like Neville and Ron and Hermione and even
Luna,
Malfoy and Luna, you know, like the fact that we can name all of them. Granted, there are 8 movies, but we can name all of them and we can actually know their characteristics as people.
Yeah.
These other ones are like, cool. Who are you? Like there was a moment.
Was it Bonzo? Was that his name in this?
There was a moment when he's like saying hello to all of them. One of the kids popped up, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" Oh, right, that's the one he first made friends with.
Yeah.
An hour and a half ago, and
Bean.
Yeah, and I was like, I forgot you were in this movie for a minute. Because this is Ender's Game. God damn it. The zero gravity stuff was cool. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing in this movie is just like it's the psychology. It's more of a psychological movie than anything.
Yeah, what are we at?
Like 40, 41.
Okay, we can kind of get into so now officially spoiler.
The twist.
Officially we'll get into the twist now. So again,
I remember the first time when I watched this.
Goodbye if you're leaving.
Again.
Okay.
When I realized that when it's revealed that wasn't that the test
That was so rad.
was the actual like attack, I was just like, what?
So for those that don't
That's
remember,
so fucked up.
or you're like, fuck it, fuck the spoiler, I don't care. So this whole time he is doing, him and his team, his commanding team are doing these simulations on these different battles.
Yeah.
Like a video game, but it's all, simulation, and they have to succeed. And
If you fail, you can restart.
If you fail, you can restart. And then finally, it's their final test to see if they're going to take command of the fleet. These 15-year-olds at oldest. I don't know. They didn't look very old. But yeah, we're going to put all our hopes and dreams on you, child, which was a wild concept. It really was. You're like,
I'm going to be the hero with the pretty girlfriend.
It was just kind of like...
It's a young kid's fucking wet dream.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird from like a military movie standpoint because of the unwillingness to let go of the reins.
Yeah.
Because experience is such a huge factor
Yeah.
in that kind of world,
But this is a world where even though without experience you train the kid, but the kid has the quick response that the adult
I know,
doesn't
but
have.
I would really rather have the experience than the quick
same.
response. Like, I think the experience would be more helpful in this situation. But anyways, so we're doing our final test, and they succeed in a really cool space battle scene. It was actually really interesting.
Well, and what's interesting as well is that they're just sitting like at panels controlling like drones and
commanding dragnauts with big transport ships with people on them, but the primary force is drones. And you're like, okay. And it's cool because the whole time it's a simulation, but it still has this levity to it where you find yourself kind of, oh no, and then you kind of remind yourself, oh, it's just a simulation though. So if they do fail, which was a possibility as the audience member, you're like, oh, they might fail, and that will lead us into the next bit of redemption arc.
Because we've seen them fail at the simulation once.
Yeah, but you're also like have this idea of it's not a big deal because it's a simulation.
Yeah.
Ender has this great plan, basically sacrificing pawns in a game of chess for the greater good. There's the theme of the greater good again. And he then ends up destroying, they have this molecular destabilizer atomizer gun, whatever the hell it was called, and it causes a chain reaction.
What is it called on the Death Star? What is it?
Something dark side.
The Planet Eraser.
What is it called? I actually have no.
Does it
like have a name?
Is it like a planet destroyer or something? I can't remember.
I don't recall it ever having a name. I just thought it
had a name.
That was just a pew pew that came out of the Death Star. Wow. Ugh. If someone remembers, let us know.
It's too early for us to remember shit.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. But yeah, basically it's this deatomizer. It completely just eradicates everything.
Yeah.
And they end up using it on the planet and wipe the planet out.
Because the Formics, this alien race.
Oh yeah, we haven't really talked about them.
Yeah, they're like giant ants.
Yeah, they're characterized as giant ants with a queen.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. They're pretty cool looking.
They look like giant ants.
They kind of look like a ant mixed with a praying mantis kind of vibe to it. But cool. They're cool. I mean, as far as giant bug aliens go, it's a pretty worn out thing. But also, it's like, to me, aliens and dragons, I find really just from, because I like to dabble in art and stuff, from a concept design, really hard to make interesting.
What the fuck? What I was just thinking about. unicorns.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah. Sorry.
Because they're so
Yeah.
beaten to death on the representation of them. So you're kind of like, yeah, it's a fucking dragon. Or, yeah, it's a fucking bug alien. Cool.
In case, yeah. Welcome back, guys. Weird technical difficulty. Fly. Anywho, what were you saying before I cut you off?
No, dragons and aliens. They were cool looking. They were cool looking aliens for being bug aliens, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and also these formics, they communicate through like telepathy, pretty much. It's like a hive mind. It's a hive mind thing.
It's implied. We never get a full.
It's revealed really at the end because you see him kind of like talking with that dying one. Yeah, no, there's fucking flies in here, all over the place. But what's revealed? The big reveal is like, yeah. So they're in this like what we're thinking is the test, a final simulation, and it's actually them commanding the fleet.
Well, yeah, because it's a great moment too, because everyone is like the higher ups, the adults in the room are fucking jacked.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, they pulled out the simulation, but why are they so excited?
Well, at first they're kind of like they're like, oh shit, we just lost a bunch of men, a bunch of like military personnel.
But they commit to even ending the simulation. Like they cut the feed and it's like, it's done, it's over. And they're all, woo. The kids are all like, woo. And then you can see the adults are kind of having this moment of like,
maybe this wasn't a good idea.
But yeah, then it's discovered, they restart the video feed, and then it's revealed that this whole time this simulation was actually live.
Like this
was an attack that they were doing. And I really thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a way to, again, bring up the morality of it, but really like, what do you think now? But I also feel like they kind of really quick over it.
What do you mean?
Well, because Ender finds out that it's not really a simulation and has this reaction. So does everybody. But he has this visceral reaction to it because they basically tricked him into killing thousands of people and also eradicating this planet, this entire species, which he's not super stoked about either. And then we have that kind of thing. And then we go to the dying praying mantis ant queen. I kind of feel like we needed another beat on that.
And that's kind of what I mean is about like the
rushing thing.
The rushing and also the sequel.
Yeah.
Because the way that it kind of ends with like, oh, he's now got a larvae
like
of
a queen
for the Formics, and now he's going to try to save it because he now feels guilty for wiping out their planet.
Well, I guess you're right on the beat thing then. I mean, on the time, on the pushing through, because if we had just spent a little more time on the beat of what Ender had done, unbeknownst, but still, his actions, caused this not only genocide.
He committed genocide without
mass extinction genocide, and not only then, but also just killed a bunch of his people.
Well, and the question that he keeps coming up with is, they attacked us 50 years ago and never came back.
Well, then we kind of talked about that with the thing.
Why aren't they coming back? Why aren't they attacking us? If this was an invasion, why aren't they trying to come back?
Yeah.
And it turns out they were just trying to find a place to settle for water. Like, it wasn't even an invasion.
Oh, yeah, I guess I never really... it's always under the narrative that they started it.
Mm-hmm.
But they came down and then... Well, I mean, that's kind of a reaction you should probably expect.
Yeah.
You just show up with a bunch of
and then
spaceships.
even like Ben Kingsley's character, who's like the hero.
I mean, that's like the most unlikely thing in Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, don't shoot your guns at it. I'm like, they'd be shooting their guns at it.
Ben Kingsley character is like this hero from the invasion, or like
the previous commander that stopped the invasion the first time.
Yeah. And he like just crashed his plane into their fucking like mothership, and it took out the hive.
It was a happy accident.
Yeah, but then they faked his death just to to idolize him as a hero and to push the propaganda of like, we need to honor his sacrifice for us. So now, like, let this become a military force.
Yeah.
The state type thing. Oh, dude, it's like when you really break down the nitty gritty of like the lore of this world, it's like it's 1984.
Yeah,
know?
it's getting a lot of those vibes.
Yeah. And that's kind of the really cool thing about it. But then you got it, the narrative through Ender as like the fucking 15-year-old hero kid who's, because he can play a video game really good.
Yeah, and then it becomes Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Oh no, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
God, I haven't watched that. That was a deep cut.
Yeah. But again, and then again, like a sequel would have done the story of this so much justice, because we just at the very end of this movie, we get that twist, and then that big question of morality of like the morality of everything just becomes so much more questionable.
Well, that's funny you say the sequel thing, because I think that if we had just focused on the morality thing more at the end,
Yeah.
this could have stand alone, because then what you could do in theory is just not watch the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because at that point, as far as we know, they're all eradicated.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes this real bummer for this alien species. But yeah, and then at the end we get into that the what are they called? The foreman?
Formics.
The Formics. The Formics just have this one on this planet has been kind of communicating with Ender telepathically in his dreams and stuff.
Through this like weird video game that
Which
there's
you're like,
some of the science.
that's a real eat a carrot moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the science in this movie in general, and like technology, you just gotta like eat the carrot.
That's very 80s. It's very 80s feeling in that way. There's like, because I feel like which makes sense from when the book came out, but there is moments, kind of in the evolution. At this point in sci-fi, there is most of the time an explanation for something. It doesn't need to really mean it. Like Inception, the briefcase. They got a thing, they plug it in, it works, But I feel like in the 80s, it was more like there's more mysticism to it, more
World of Tomorrow,
psychic, right? Boom, done. Like that's the kind of.
Oh, I get it. Now.
Yeah, they're psychic. Obviously, they can do that. Like let's just look at the Force.
Yeah.
Why the Force? Magic space wizard. That's why. You're like, all right. Sure.
Your ancient magical religion.
That's 15 years old.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Man, what a fuck up. Your ancient religion. This was pretty common practice. You were alive for it.
Yeah.
Like you were there. Like I don't know why you make such an asshole about it.
He just wanted to be an asshole.
To the scary
Space wizard.
The scariest evil space wizard. The Darth Vader ship chokes that bitch.
Harder. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
He's like, oh God, are you into this? Anyways, that was a fun departure.
That was a
that was a fun departure. Yeah, all in all, themes are pretty good. Special effects are good. Acting for what it is, for what this is grounded enough. It could have gone really over the top. They really could have shoved a lot of information down our throat, which I really appreciate they didn't, because it kind of lets you just kind of do your own thing, but they don't pull back enough until we start getting into the mysticism alien thing. Then it starts getting a little loosey-goosey.
Even like, I don't know, even just like the game that Viola Davis's character had gave him access to, so she can like psychologically
analyze him without being in the room.
Yeah, which is smart. Like
it's a good idea.
Yeah, clever little thing. But then how it works and how like his brain reacts to it, but then the Formic is also like communicating through to him through it. It's
Well, that's what
it gets convoluted.
Well, that's where it gets because even then at first you can kind of, when she's like, "Oh, I've never seen anyone do that," when she makes the mouse jump in the eye and everything. You're like, okay, well that kind of makes sense. I guess this isn't.
And Harrison Ford gets all excited. He's like,
yeah, murder that bitch. But like, she has like this. He's never done that before. Blah blah blah. So you're kind of like, okay, so this is like an AI program.
Yeah.
It kind of is reactionary to the user. Cool, makes sense. But then you're right. Then we get the alien influence in it. And you're like, all right, we're off the rails. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
And then I like to the end. And then they made me admiral, and then they said, "Do whatever you want." Like that's not. No, you're an admiral. They need to. Where are you going?
And
Where's
the
your...
pretty girl kissed me, and I liked it.
Did they kiss?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
He's-
I was like, I don't remember that. But yeah, they're like, yeah, they gave me the title of admiral and then let me be alone. I'm like, no, you're an admiral. You have people to report that report to you, and
also, how are you getting on that ship and away in that place with that fucking like larva?
And also, I'm gonna scour the universe looking for a new planet. And there's no kind of. He's like in a little cryo tube with this alien species we really don't know anything about. Like a lot of bugs. They eat when they hatch.
What are they gonna eat?
What are they gonna eat?
You.
And game ender. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like you're really trusting of this creature that you really didn't have any conversation with and didn't really give you any information. And also is like, oh, this is a stupid kid. Maybe he'll take my youth and then feed my youth. You know, I don't know.
It's all a ploy.
It's all a ploy.
You killed my entire species. Here, take my egg.
Yeah, all I care about is killing you now. I don't know. There's a couple loosey-goosey ends to tie up at that point.
Also, like, how is there no other alien species that we know about?
What do you mean?
There's just the Formics. You know? Is it just humans and Formics? Like, how in the 50 years, if they've mastered space travel to go to a Formic planet, how have they not, stumbled across any other alien species?
That's a lot of space you're talking about.
No Man's Sky.
What? Don't you fucking... But yeah. So, what are we at? I think it's time to...
We're at about an hour.
What do you think? Well, let's see. So, this is our young adult block. The highest we've given so far...
It's 2.5.
2.5.
And I'm like, with that, almost a 3. No.
It is, in my opinion, it is objectively better than Vampire's Assistant.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed Vampire Assistant more.
It's because it's more like that has it feels like it ended.
Well, and it's very lighthearted and it's comedic and it just it's a world I like to visit more. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's a lot more for a young adult novel and like a young adult movie. There is a lot more theme and like critical analysis stuff you can place into this. Like the questionable, like, what is morality? The twist of like the morality of it all as well. I think it's because of the world that Orson Scott Card created. I think just overall, it's just a better world, more well thought out, a more interesting.
Yeah.
It has more social commentary.
It's really preachy, which bugs me, but that makes sense for this world building.
And that could have been a lot more that's also how Gavin Hood approached the material as well,
Yeah, but it kind of makes sense. You have these grown men. Well, I guess only one, really, because we only really get to know one. But the Colonel's utter and complete blind faith in the process.
Well, you get a good perspective from Ben Kingsley's character, who we haven't even. I keep forgetting. I keep kind of bringing him up because he's an important thing, important role in this, because he turns into like Ender's like biggest like mentor, and he's the hero that is supposed to be dead. Which that's the morality of that to an entire like nation of people is the government lies to us all the time. Why not? Like I actually 3. Like it's very neckbeardy in a way of like it's like
Ready Player One-y.
Yeah, very like the young kid gonna be the hero, like fantasy dream, which all of these really have. Aragon was like that. Golden Compass not as much. Golden Compass was just fuck religion pretty much.
I think out of all these, Golden Compass was the most interesting world.
I mean, that's when it's we want to go and watch his Dark Materials.
Yeah, because that was a cool world to check out because I mean that's actually this and Golden Compass and this block are probably the closest together because it's anti-government, not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's bad side of government and bad side of religion.
Yeah.
And the cover-ups and employing a reaction from the masses.
We're going to make these kids think, and we don't want that.
Yeah. Because even then, it's like, hey, let's take the smartest of all the children and pull them away from the general public and put them in this position and not in that position of anything else. You know? So you're like, oh, okay, we're really...
And the problem with Golden Compass was just the fact that the movie itself wasn't executed very well.
Yeah.
This movie was executed better.
Yeah, and we gave gold. Yeah, okay, so 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. It's in the book. Next week. I mean, that's, so Ender's Game, 3 out of 5. That is the end of our young adult block that
that was fun.
One movie, never more, never less. But just for shits and giggles, since we are coming up into the end of August, we're going to kind of start leaning into our spooky,
I mean, this is going to be the first one of September.
The end
next week is going to...
We're getting close to wrapping up our year, our season.
Yeah.
But considering it's going to be out soon, we are going to do the first Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Say it again.
Nope.
Beetlejuice! Michael Keaton comes out of the wall.
That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah!
Can I get your autograph? Don't go chasing waterfalls. But yeah.
Really? You're going to quote that? I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so we decided to do Beetlejuice just because the new one's coming out. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of learn more about it. And you can learn with us. So...
Have we done a Tim Burton film yet?
I was going to ask you.
I don't think we have.
I can't think of what it would be. You know?
I know we've talked about A Nightmare Before Christmas.
I mean, Tim Burton's kind of hard to not talk about, you know? I mean, the only thing I can think of is when we did like that kind of family-friendly one. Because he didn't do Addams Family.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think we haven't, no.
No? Not that. I mean, we'll find out. But yeah, so join us next week for Beetlejuice. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On there, you'll find all our posts for all the episodes coming up. Check that out on all those posts. And on our main profiles, there's the link tree. And on there, you'll find the links for all of our platforms we're on. So YouTube, if you want video, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Give us a comment, and we will talk to you next week. That's everything. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape.
Laters.
Beetlejuice.